So Ying, maybe we'll start with this. I kind of saw all the background and the numbers, kind of at the back. Maybe actually kind of just briefly, kind of
Yeah.
share with me. I just find it really interesting. Share with me, what all those brands are and what, kind of the significance, of some of the numbers, kind of at the back.
Okay. Yeah, actually, we have been using this for a couple of years. Each single store will have such a dashboard for the daily sales. Of course, in the store, it will be more complicated with other charts like the traffic, where all these customers come from, since we have this geographical it's called geofence and technology to see which community the store is serving. And this one here is for the entire supermarket sector. So the top number is the sales of today, something around some 24 million up till now. That's the for Beijing area and including Tianjin. It's a Tuesday, not weekend, so this is quite normal sales. And also we have all these analysis on the payment methods, online, offline, showing, what the top items of each category and the top selling stores, etc. Yeah, so it's a part of this the digitalization, and also that's from the operating system provided by Tmall, 多点. Yeah.
Well, that's actually, that's really amazing. Thank you. Yeah. Well, Ying, as we all know, China actually kind of came into the COVID situation first. And from all respect, probably kind of got out of it, the earliest. Maybe actually kind of go back, to the beginning when this actually kind of all happened. During this whole COVID-19 period, how have you been communicating for what Wumart, stand for? Its purpose, vision, and values. What is the same or what is different to the pre-COVID, days?
Yeah, Wumart is, I would say, one of the largest fresh grocery retailer in China, especially strong with the Wumart brand only in northern China, but with a couple of others in other parts of China. So we do both online and offline, supported by Tmall. Tmall is a mobile app which ranks #2 right now in China, serving these fresh grocery retailers. Fresh grocery is so close to people's everyday life. So when COVID started last year, it was just in the middle of a Chinese New Year time. So our stores were crowded with panicked customers. They rushed in for fresh produce, for staple foods and sanitary products, and of course masks. So our team were all off in their hometown. So within one day, as we sent out the notice for emergency, so our team were all back from their holidays everywhere in China. And since then, we started a long journey of fighting the pandemic and secure the supply to citizens. So to answer your question about value, about our purposes, so we made 3 promises, 3 guarantees to guarantee the supply, guarantee the retail price, to keep it at a stable level, and also guarantee the quality. When there is a rush, we in the short of a supply, so we have to be very careful about the quality control. And most importantly, we guarantee to protect the safety of our staffs. So what we propose, reflecting our value, that is, when it matters people's life, consciousness guides business, meaning we are not simply doing business at this very critical moment. So what we deliver to customers are not just sufficient daily necessities, but confidence to cope with the crisis. So I think that is also this, because of the nature of the business, since we are taking care of people's daily needs, taking of people's life, everyday life. Okay. So the team has become more than ever through this difficult time, I would say, especially the first few months, closely monitoring customers' needs. So because the lifestyle have changed so much, and our people have a much deeper understanding of the meaning of customer-oriented. Yeah, so we could, when we have time, we could discuss more. Yeah.
Fantastic. So with all of that changes, how are you keeping up with this pace of change and aligning your people, teams, and your resources to be able to deliver the value to your customers and drive your business? What has worked well and what has not worked less well? What will you stop, start, and continue for the future?
Yeah, actually the pandemic has put new demand to business and the people. You know, the changes that happened in the past year could be more than the changes in past 5 or 10 years. So business is facing the challenge of being agile to changes. People, especially business leaders, will need to think and react quicker than ever to turn the critical situation into opportunities. For example, customers stay at home, were discouraged to travel during holidays. So how could we serve them in a safe and efficient way to meet their needs when staying at home, work from home, taking care of kids at home? Although we have been leading the digital transformation of retail, the team throughout this period of fighting pandemic has a much more profound understanding of digitalization. And thanks to what we have already built over the past years, equipped with the DMAL operating system, which is tailor-made for retail digital transformation, we were able to bring out the great value of the stores and the entire supply chain to give customers the greatest flexibility to shop either in the store or from home with one mobile app. And we could do the home delivery like within 30 minutes, all the fresh grocery to be delivered to home. So much encouraged with all these changes and the customers' satisfaction, we think we have done correctly to transform ourselves into an effective, efficient supply chain with agility, responding to the changes and the cope with critical situations. So we, if we are doing what should we do more in the future, I would say we would be more inspired, and so we would have less hesitation. We would tolerate mistakes for the purpose and to go faster, to innovate and to change. What would be the most important? Well, I was thinking about this question. I would say persistence will be something we believe extremely important for the transformation. So once we do, we want to do something differently, especially facing a new situation, new challenges. Once we think this opportunity, identify the opportunity, and think through the feasible business model. So what is left will be persistence, because all kinds of innovation, transformation will be very difficult, will be facing a lot of resistance internally from ourselves and from our own mindset. So I would, what I could conclude from this is digitalization and the change of mindset, and also, stay with in the right direction once we decide. So that will be, the key drivers for the growth of a business, and also for better customer satisfaction. Sorry, I can't hear you. Hello?
Sorry, I was actually on mute. Sorry about that. I was just saying that, I didn't catch one of the words. You kind of say there are two things, like digitalization and another thing. Do you remember what that was? Maybe I just missed that.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's all right. You know what? I was just saying, I heard you say digitalization, kind of two things that you could actually do more of, digitalization and then another thing. And I may have actually kind of just missed just one word, there.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, okay. We may come back to that once we touch the topic.
Got it. Okay, very good. All right. Now, although kind of in the initial period, right? Many people, even in China, were not able, to. Everybody was actually kind of working from home. Even in China, they were not, kind of together, right? So I was just actually kind of curious, when this in-person interactions, are more limited. And at the same time, with all this transformation, it also means more demand on the people, right? How do you engage and continue to energize the teams and continue to build trust, when this time, when in-person, kind of interactions are a little bit more limited? And there's actually a lot more demand, on their their efforts, as well. How do you energize them? Yeah.
Yeah, perhaps in our case, serving people, especially these physical stores, receiving people every day. Perhaps we are one of the few business or companies that we have to stay together. Remote would be very difficult. Of course, we reduce a lot of travels. So we could do, for example, using a video to do the store check, or to have a more video meeting for store managers. But comparing to other businesses that people, especially headquarters or management, could stay at home or could work from home. So we are actually less remote. So from the very beginning, we stay in the office, because we need to go to store as well. Even at meeting room, we'll have a mask on. So it's tough. It has been quite tough. So I think in all cases, we just keeping people the passion and inspired of protecting ourselves, making sure that we're safe and we're working for long hours, exposed to a lot of people. Yeah, I think that would be more like a challenge than, you know, trying to engage people together. So we have to stay together all the time, stay connected every day. You know, several meetings, you know, just to look at the data, look at what's the new demands or the new searches from customers. In fact, through all these periods, I'm so proud of our team. You know, it is very dangerous. I have a friend, a medical doctor working in the hospital. So once he told me he just shopped in Wumart store, and then he found it was very busy there. You know, he quickly went in, and then I told him you could use the app, you know, from home. He said, I just passed the store, so I stopped by and, you know, grabbed something. And then he said, perhaps in Beijing city, the busiest two places will be ours. One is your supermarket, one is our hospital. So we never close down, no matter how, you know, what the situation is like. So people need to get fresh produce, need to get daily necessities. So we stay on 365. Many touching stories happened during this time. Like, for example, once I heard from a mom, not a store manager, just a store employee, you know, in our building. She said every day when she went home, her son would stay away from her. Because the boys' teacher said you should always stay away from people who have been exposed to crowded, who have a lot of contacts with people. You know, it's not safe for you. So every time when she went back, so her son will say, "Oh, you are dangerous." So she needs to clean up from head to toe and then change completely before, you know, getting close to the boy. So things like that for every ordinary staff, you know, they have been working so hard. And so I believe the value we proposition and what we propose. So when it really matters people's life. So we are doing this business and taking care of people's needs. You know, we need to stay and we need to, you know, to be dedicated. Yeah. So that's one example, perhaps, you know, just to let you know, you know, how the situation was like. And also how we, you know, we engage people and, you know, work even harder during this difficult time. Yeah.
That's fantastic. Now, you mentioned agility, you know, just now, and obviously, I think COVID-19 really actually has introduced this need for agility, like there's actually never before. You know, so how are you constantly adapting? You know, how are you adapting to a constantly changing model? You know, particularly, I mean, we all know in China, things change, you know, at light speed, right? You know, how are you adapting, you know, to this constantly changing, you know, kind of context? And how are you thinking, applying these lessons for the longer term, you know, that some of these lessons that you have learned and picked up during the COVID days, you know, there?
Yeah. As mentioned earlier, the quick response to customers' needs and to all the changes actually have become the normal, right? Yeah. In the past, so we could just sit down, getting all these markets and survey information, and trying to make analysis, which is right. But now, you know, we need to help our people to be more sensitive to all the changes, to become more sophisticated with data, because we could receive a huge amount of the data from a single SKU, a single item we sell in the store, or from customers' behavior. So we could, profile a customer or group of customers who have similar demand. So one major change with this mindset was, again, thanks to the digitalization, we're able to discover customers' needs through their searches and become ready to respond to these searches promptly. I think that's actually something quite different from the traditional way, meaning in traditional retailers, when we sell something, we could get the number or the data, what would be the top selling product, like what we see in the screen, today's best selling product. But that's after, it's already historical data. So nowadays, what we need to know would be what people are searching for, rather than they already placed the order or they already received something. So especially those products they have searched for, but they couldn't find. So that's something we need to immediately to catch up and to get the supply. That's real customers' needs. So many examples really, made us think differently during this new situation after COVID. Like when people started to cook at home. So a good example would be, we suddenly one day we found people were searching yeast for making, bread or making bun. They bought a lot of flour, but they need yeast to prepare at home. What they used to do is to buy this ready-to-eat products in the stores. But when the supply or when this demand is becoming much greater, they couldn't get that much. And then they started, and they cannot every day have this ready-to-eat product. So they started to cook at home. Otherwise, how to kill the time at home. And then they started to looking for online what they haven't used that much before, like the baking products, like baking tools. These are all these new demands which we could monitor immediately, and then we try to get the supply and all these logistics and then deliver to customers. So these examples actually educated our people. We need to think in advance, or we need to discover what people are thinking, are looking for, and then, to give a quick response to that. Yeah. So when we talk about agility, I think this is a very good example to demonstrate what has really happened.
That is fascinating, Ying. Yeah. I think many organizations and leaders have said to us, that they find a lot of inspiration and innovation, kind of during this pandemic times. I think you spoke a little bit about that, kind of already. So, but I would just probably ask this question again. Have you or your team experienced that? What are some of the innovation and inspiration that you really gain, kind of during, this whole time?
Yeah, that's a good question. Actually, it's going to be a long topic. I will try to make it short. I think to build more efficient supply chain, to maintain a high bar of food safety, and to further satisfy customers' needs. So those are actually some, new things or something we have been doing, but we put or we prioritize all these items. And recently we had an exchange with Deloitte Consulting on consumer behavior, which is very interesting. I'd like to share with you. So I agree very much with their observation of now customer, meaning the customers would need things in a more swift way. The consumption would not just during the day or during certain hours, but could be 24 hours now. So that raised the demand for a new technology and innovations. So if you ask us what we can do, so we need to think differently from just a single store, but an entire chain, and also not to think anymore online or offline to differentiate them. Their customers or consumption everywhere, anytime. I guess that's something really, not just the e-commerce player or internet player are thinking about. And so everybody in this market need to think about this. So we prepare our team. They need to think just without that too much boundaries, without too much limitations, not put four walls around us, just to think in a very extended way to serve customers, through all types of formats or channels.
Yeah, that is great. There is basically kind of omni channels all the time. Essentially. Yeah. Right. Yeah. You have been a leader and CEO for a while now, Ying. What is the one thing you have learned about leadership over the last few months?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I've been asking ourselves. So when I try to recall what happened in the past, I think more and more we are asking, or I ask myself, what if, many more what if, meaning what if this happens? Because we have never thought about this pandemic, we never really predict. So it tells us, anything could happen at any time without any notice. So for business leaders, especially taking care of a great number of customers and also a big team, we need to think always in front, in advance, in many situations, to be ready for changes. I think to prepare ourselves, to react quickly and also to, accept all these changes will become more and more important. So I think this pandemic is a tragedy, but in the meantime, I think we are all educated to think in a different way and to be more prepared and to face more difficulties and the challenges. So which in a very easy time, we would not think that way.
But that's actually kind of, Ying, that's actually really inspiring. It is be prepared, quick response, because you never know. I mean, we're so used to, before this, so used to everything kind of going okay, right?
Exactly.
But really actually kind of teach us to just be prepared and just, kind of adapt, essentially. That's great. Well, thank you.